too fast.
I'm going.
I'm taking 3.
Going for the St. Louis now.
Oh no!
Son of a bitch.
You get your 2?
Yeah.
Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thotgor here, of course, and today we are going to take a look at a battle in the Chapayev. Yes, so this is maybe the second or third time I've taken out the Chapayev. So I did manage to get the Chapayev over the weekend. As a result, though, I was so focused on the Chappie getting this ship here that I didn't actually manage to play any ranked battles, so I finished the ranked battle season at rank 11. I was hoping to get to rank 10, but whatever, it doesn't really bother me at all. At least now I have my Chapayev. So we're taking a look at the ship here. She is a pretty decent looking ship. What I enjoy most about her, and I've noticed it in the few games I've played in her so far, is in fact the little bit of extra armor that I have on the Chapayev versus the Shchors at tier 7. The Chapayev itself, it plays basically the exact same way as the Shchors did, which is basically the exact same way that the Buddy plays as well. You do want to stay at range, you do want to be firing your high explosive, setting fires, and angling fiercely against your enemies. You really don't want to take too many shots, especially broadsides, and it can get pretty tricky if you move in, and start engaging enemies really close in. That's where you can really start struggling with the Chapayev. It really doesn't play too decently close in, sort of in a one-on-one situation, or the situation I'm specifically thinking about is, we'll see later in the match here actually, is when, you come around a corner and there's multiple enemies there. You can only shoot at one enemy target, but there's multiple enemies that are, aiming at you, so you can only angle against one target at a time, in most cases. So you do end up taking some damage from those other enemy ships. So, there is that. The biggest downside to the Chapayev that I see is her maneuverability. Her rudder shift time is atrocious. The turning radius of this ship is ridiculous. So that being said, she's not very maneuverable. She's still fast, still a quick cruiser, does well over 30 knots, so there's no issue there. It's just the turning. Now, because she's at tier 8, I will be keeping this cruiser. So, it's just a matter of buying the rudder shift module for the ship itself, and that will go a long way to helping it out. Now, obviously, the ship as we're looking at it right now is completely stock, so I don't have anything on this ship at all. I haven't bought any modules for her either. She's just totally stock, and totally stock we get a range of about 15 kilometers. Now I do have the scout plane. I thought, actually, it shows how much I know about Russian cruisers. I thought that when I got to tier 8 I would be getting radar ability for my Russian cruiser, but apparently not. Maybe that's with the next hull. I'm not 100% sure, because it is a stock hull right now, so maybe once I get that becomes an option. But for now, it's a scout plane, so I have that option of using the scout plane if needed. What I love, and I'm sorry it's all choppy here, I didn't actually notice this. It's going to clear up though. It's going to clear up. What I really do enjoy about the Chappie, the Shchors, and the Buddy is just how easy it is to kill destroyers with these ships. It is really, really easy. Destroyers really have to watch out for this ship here. You just rain in your high explosive shots, and the destroyers quickly melt away. Now I have this Hatsuaru that I'm shooting at. I don't actually end up killing the Hatsuaru just yet, but we did a bit of damage to him. Now, not paying attention, I am going to ground myself here. You can see the rudder shift time, right? The slow turning speed here. In the Hipper, I might have been able to pull that one off by slowing down and doing the hard to port stern, but this ship, no, not gonna happen. But whatever. I get really lucky with this grounding. I don't have to worry about these enemy ships on the port side coming around this island. I don't have to worry about them firing at me, which is really good. Now, if we do take a look at the overall scheme of the map here, and at the mini-map and what my team is doing, we do see we are really heavy over there on the west side. On the east side, not so much. And in fact, on the east side, we have a cruiser, and it might be 2 cruisers. There's also a destroyer we don't see. We will see that player later. We'll see that player later. In and amongst those ships as well. Actually, there it goes. Pops up on the mini-map now. So we've got that to deal with. Now, I'm shooting at this North Carolina. I love shooting at North Carolinas in this, or what rather at battleships in this cruiser, especially when the battleships aren't paying attention to you. Because the beauty of this, and I'm sure anyone who frequents the ZAL knows, all I have to do is set the enemy battleship on fire. There we go, it's on fire, and then hopefully that enemy battleship will put out the fire. Then my subsequent salvos will come in, set more fires, and the player won't be able to put those out, and those fires will burn. And, do a bunch of damage over time. So that's the hope here, and what I'm trying to get accomplished with the ship as well. So, we're still early on in the battle. Things haven't really gotten too hot as of yet, but you can see still sort of the play style here of the Chapayev, and this is the same as the Shchors and the Buddy. I am really staying in the background, but you have to be careful when you're doing this, because I don't want to, say that I'm playing in the background. I don't want you to confuse it with, staying back and doing nothing. No, I'm always staying within my range so that I can fire in on the targets that I want to fire in at. I'm just staying back so that the enemy ships aren't shooting at me. They have my allies in between them and me, so they're going to shoot at my allies first before shooting at me. Now, it's a little cold, I suppose, but when you play a cruiser that has no armor at all, and that is a lot of cruisers, frankly, and me being a cruiser captain, playing through all of these cruisers, so many of them, that this is just the play style that I've adapted to make my cruisers work. We talked about it in a few videos ago. By staying alive and your hit point mitigation, this is what is going to lead you to the big damage number. So that is why I'm using the strengths of the Chapayev here, staying at distance. So I did get lucky with that enemy destroyer, and one of my allies did manage to take the player out, so this is fantastic. You can see immediately I'm going to turn back, and we're going to start firing on the enemies. Now, obviously, because this is estuary, we have done a video on estuary as well, talking about the strategy of the map. It's not a large map, right? It's not that big. So with a 15-kilometer range, I'm still able to get in here at, pretty decent distances and fire in. The benefit as well is all these little islands that are in and around. Now, yes, the islands do block some of my shots, but what they also do, and we talked about before, is it sort of funnels the enemy, right? So if the enemies do want to push beyond the cover, they definitely can, but they're sort of all funneled together, so it really concentrates them, and you can start focusing some of them down quickly, and that is what we're trying to get done here. Now, we've already sunk 4 of the enemy ships, and the enemy just sunk our 4th ship, so we're even on ships so far, and you can even see my destroyer, one of my destroyers down there in the enemy base, capping it. Now that's a pretty good move for a destroyer to do, to go into the enemy base and start capping it. The problem is it's really early in the battle. We could really use the destroyer support out here against these battleships. So you can see I put a salvo into the North Carolina that I was firing at originally, but instantly I'm going to start switching to this North Carolina here. Now with this North Carolina, I was incredibly concerned that this player was going to start focusing their way, but luckily he's focused on another one of my allies. This is something that I've noticed as well players doing that is making me angry. It's not enough. We can see we saw that North Carolina in the background there reversing, which is a tactic that they're using now, as awful as I think it is. Anyway, that's a tactic. But now players are going in reverse, stopping and going at quarter speed, so they're not really moving anywhere, but they're constantly adjusting the throttle so that the smoke on their ship never really looks like it's moving, so you can't tell if the ship itself is in reverse, it's going forward, or if it's standing still. This is something that people are doing now, and it just, oh god. I get it though. We talked about before. I do get it, why battleships are doing it, and it makes sense because of the frontal armor and all of this stuff. But I even see cruisers doing this. Now, if a cruiser is doing this, I don't know what is going through that player's mind, but that is not what you want to do. Anyway, we're going to start engaging the North Carolina. Obviously, we're going to continue to engage North Carolina, but I'm sailing in a straight line away from this player as well. I don't want to get too far away, but I also don't want to get, so close in there that these other battleships will start focusing on me as well. I don't need that right now. I still have a good amount of hit points, so we're still decent there, but unfortunately, the enemy team has fought back, and they just sunk a number of our ships. They sunk that destroyer who was capping the enemy base. That player is gone. They sunk another one of our ships over here on the west side, so we're not looking too good. And in fact, over here on the west, I'm the only player right now, rather myself, and we can see I do have a cruiser on the starboard side of the ship. We are the only 2 players over here on the east to do anything. So What I'm going to try and do is I'm going to basically keep doing what I've been doing this entire map, and that's basically been sailing in circles or big long ovals and firing in on target. So I'm going to keep doing this, but I'm just going to change the trajectory of my circle and my oval to now include some of the eastern side of the map. The reason why I want to include the eastern side of the map is because I just don't want one of their destroyers, because there's 2 destroyers remaining, I don't want one of them to sneak in and take our base. Suddenly I see this Nuremberg and I'm thinking to myself, where the hell was this player the entire match? Like, what was this guy doing? But okay, whatever. We're going to load up the armor piercing. See, I switched over to it right away, and now if, you know, when I'm deciding whether or not armor piercing at close in, I'm looking at the ship on the minimap. The ship on the minimap, look at the islands the player has around. This player has to continue in a straight line, has to give me the broadside. So I'm going to keep my armor piercing loaded, and we're going to get this launched off. Again, I do apologize about the poor quality of the recording. I'm not sure why it's all jankety like this, but anyway, I thought it would go away. I don't think it does. Whatever. We continue to fire into the Nuremberg, and we're going to continue to get some nice damage done on this player, obviously, right? It's a Nuremberg. We've got you know, pretty good guns, but the Nuremberg doesn't have as good armor as we've got. The problem is, I do have to turn. I have to turn, and I'm going to expose a broadside here to the Nuremberg. So you can see I'm making my turn now. I'm turning, and you know, I do get a nice, nice good hit there on the Nuremberg. Just a few more hits here, and then we'll finish off the player. Good choice on the turn, by the way, for myself as well, because you know, I do avoid those torpedoes. But you can see the last salvo from the Nuremberg did a whole crap ton of damage, and again, hit point mitigation. Hit point conservation. This is where this plays into, right? I wouldn't, if you know, I took a lot of chances at the beginning of the battle, I'd be dead right now. Wouldn't have been able to survive that Nuremberg attack because of just the way I had to turn and give that broadside, right? I wouldn't have been able to survive it. But luckily, you know, making some good moves throughout the game here, I was able to do something. Already up to 79,000 points. Take a look at the allied ships I have remaining. Crap. So it looks like it's myself and my Miyoko pal here left to save the day. Now, bit of a spoiler, we don't save the day. I'm still showing the replay because it, you know, this end bit here really shows the power of the Chapayev and the difference. Well, at least I was able to see, and I'll explain the difference, but the difference in the Chapayev compared to the Shchors. So we do have an enemy Benson here that pops up. I quickly put some salvos into this player and remind the player that, you know, you are in fact a destroyer and you should in fact stay away from me. So the destroyer is gone. That's my first kill, or my second kill rather. Fantastic. We have the Kutsov off in the distance, and I do have 2 North Carolinas behind me. So we need to start maneuvering. We need to start angling. The biggest threat here that I'm going to be facing, believe it or not, is not going to be the battleships to the stern of my ship. It's actually the Kutsov. The Kutsov is the bigger threat because the Kutsov can land in, you know, can fire more fast, or can fire more quickly than the battleships, and has a high, if he's firing high explosive at me, has a high chance of setting fire. This fire will do damage over time to me, obviously. I don't have a lot of hit points. That's how that's how I'm going to die. So it's the Kutsov that presents the biggest challenge for me here, not the battleships. As long as I keep the battleships to my stern, and as long as I'm maneuvering ever so slightly in between their salvos, any shots that I do actually take from those enemy battleships should be ricochets over penetrations, right? And I won't actually get citadeled, because that's exactly what I'm trying to avoid right now. Now, I also have the added benefit of having my allied Miyoko. There's the Hatsuhiro. Hatsuhiro pops up. That's the same Hatsuhiro from the beginning of the battle, and I'm going to fire in on it and hopefully take the kill. We're going to continue and switch back over to the Kutsov because obviously the enemy Hatsuhiro is gone now. I can't see it, so I can't get any more shots in. But we know that the destroyer is around, so this is important as well. You know, just sort of keeping a mental tally of what enemy ships are in and around you. Even though I can only see 2 enemy ships on the minimap right now, I definitely know that the destroyer is around here somewhere. There goes my friendly Miyoko, so that is tragic. So now it is just me remaining. So all of these ships that are, you know, in and around this distance, they will all start firing at me. So I take a bit of damage here from the Kutsov, and again, you can see how, you know, what I mean by the Kutsov being the biggest threat. Even though this player is in fact firing high armor piercing at me, you know, I'm giving a broadside at this point in time. You know, it is going to do a lot of damage. Now I have my armor piercing loaded up, and I'm trying to return fire on the Kutsov and trying to finish off the Kutsov before the player finishes off me. There we go. Finish off the Kutsov, 3rd kill. fantastic. And I got a Confederate in all of that as well, so excellent. Now we have the North Carolina. So things aren't looking so great. The enemy, I mean, they have 3 ships remaining. They do still have the Hatsuharu in and around me. They have this North Carolina and a New Mexico remaining, I believe. And we have yet to see the New Mexico, but that player will be making an appearance. What I'm trying to do, again, is, light fire to this North Carolina. Damage over time. Just try and draw out this battle as long as possible. And again, to do this, it comes down to, keeping my stern on the North Carolina, and as well making use of the time in between the battleship salvos. This is incredibly important. So the North Carolina just fired at me, salvos are coming in. Now I know that the player is going to be reloading for a little while, so I can actually turn my ship. You can see one of my main turrets is gone, so it's pretty important at this point in time to get as many guns firing as I can on the North Carolina. So in between salvos, turn the ship, present an angled broadside, get in as many shots as I possibly can, which is usually about 2 salvos, and then turn out of it. Turn out of it and just, try and angle myself and mitigate some of the damage coming in. So we do see shots coming in from the North Carolina. Gonna avoid some of those. As you can see, I took 1, but again, that didn't do any damage, so that had to have been a ricochet that I got, so that's pretty decent. Now, if I was in the Shchors, this wouldn't happen. The Shchors doesn't have as great of armor, and the shots that are coming in from the stern are most likely going to citadel you, so you need to keep this in mind. This is one of the biggest differences between the Chapayev and the Shchors. Now, I'm not saying that it's just the armor on the stern of the Chapayev that is better. No, overall, the Chapayev just has better armor than the Shchors. It gives you more possibility of armor mitigation. Now, you can see I took some more damage there, and that would have been an over penetration. So again, I get really lucky with all of this. We're up to 127,000 damage now. Look at the minimap. The Hatsuharu has popped up. I am not going to let this player get away, because obviously, I've recited myself to the fact that we're going to lose. It's just a matter of, are they going to kill me? Or, are they going to kill me rather, and how much damage can I rack up here before they do actually kill me? So we're going to put some shots in here on the Hatsuharu. The Hatsuharu is trying to be sneaky and crafty by slowing down his speed, maneuvering around, but you can see in the end, doesn't matter, get the kill, fourth kill there, so fantastic. We still have the North Carolina to deal with. Oh man, yeah, so I mean the writing's on the wall for me at this point, right? I had to turn to engage the Hatsuharu. I'm giving the North Carolina an excellent opportunity to hit me with a broadside because of the slow turning of the Chapayev here as well. I'm just not able to present the stern of my ship quick enough to be able to avoid incoming shots from the North Carolina, and there we go, we finish it off. But still, what a game. I really had fun this game as well, and I'm really enjoying this Chapayev. I kind of knew I would, not only because I knew from what you guys have been telling me that it's a great ship, plays similar to the Shchors and that. It's, the Kutuzov. I have the Kutuzov, so I knew, based on the experience with the Kutuzov, that the Tier 8 would probably play fairly similar. Now, top of the team overall, and in fact, I earned more points than the highest earning player on the enemy team, and we lost. Yeah. But whatever, I did manage the 4 kills. I think it was 130,000 damage when all was said and done, so that's not too bad at all. Definitely the highest damage I've had in this ship so far, but I do think there's the potential for more damage here. I think the ship could easily pump out 50 or 150,000 damage a game if the conditions are right. So I walk away with 244,000 credits when all is said and done. Not too shabby at all. 3,500 experience as well, which is great because I do need to get the range increase and the second hull for the Chapayev. Looking forward to that. Anyway, folks, that is the end of the video for today. Thanks for sticking around, watching it through. Leave any comments you have for me about today's video, or I've been thinking as well of making a new intro. Now, I know I think there's one person who keeps saying how annoying the intro is, and I'm not doing it because of that person. I'm doing it because we're almost to our 300th video for the channel. You guys may not have been keeping track, but I definitely am. Today's video is actually 297, I believe. So in the next few days, we're going to get the 300th video. So I'm just thinking I might want to change the intro at that time. But anyway, yes. Hit subscribe as well if you're not a subscriber. As always, folks, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.